Well, there we go. I went ahead and I shared that on Twitter. I think this would be the first time I've been live since a few weeks ago, I believe. Well, let me get on camera. Get to talk about my new poster, my new Funko Pops. I bet you all want to see me. Maybe drop the camera a little bit down there. There we go. I think you should be able to see me. Hello, YouTube. How you doing? I said it would be 2:30, but I lied because that's what I do. I lie sometimes. But how's everybody doing? I'm gonna go ahead and open up my iPad and see what the dealio is. People still say that? I hope people still say that. Like I said, first few minutes of the stream is just me setting up shop, so nothing too hardcore, I guess. Got my Spider-Man mug, courtesy of Universal Studios. Great theme park, by the way. Very good theme park. Let's see. Let's see here. All right. I'm gonna go get the chat open. I'm gonna get the chat to show up. There we go. How's everybody doing? Hello, everybody. Get myself set up over here. Happy Sunday. Today is the 27th of August. This will be my first stream in, I'd say, a few weeks. A lot of stuff happens in that time, so I apologize. I know a lot of people have been asking me about the streams. I'd say a few people have asked me about the streams. So, here it is. A couple of people brought up that they didn't really care for the drawings, but I'll get into that in a little bit too. This is really just an opportunity for us to chill. You ask questions, you find out how life is going. You know, you got any concerns or stuff. You know, this is the time to do it. So why not? I like these informal type of conversations. It just feels natural, feels fun. You know, that's just how life is, right? That's just how life is. I do want to share some of these Funko Pops that I got. I didn't get a chance to open up this bad boy, but I picked this up at Barnes & Noble's today. So, this year would mark the 90th anniversary of Steamboat Willie. And, I guess Funko, a couple other toy manufacturers, are getting ready and jumping on that. I actually just checked online and I saw that Vans Sneakers is commemorating Mickey's 90th birthday. So not technically his 90th birthday, plain crazy. It was produced before November, but I'll talk about that in another video. But anyways, all these companies are commemorating Mickey's 90th, and as a self-proclaimed Mickey Mouse nut, makes me go crazy because I just, how am I going to save my money? Because, like, there's so much cool merch that I now need to get. And one of those is a Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice minus the hat. I think they did this to separate themselves from the super rare Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse Funko. Apparently that one's going for like $300. This one obviously not yet, but I'm super excited to open this. I've read a couple of reviews already saying that it's a pretty good pop. So this is my first time opening it, pulling it out of the box. I know a lot of people don't want to do that. You know, it ruins the value, but I don't care. Toys should be outside of the shelves. And here we go. I love the translucent, I guess that's some sort of resin, epoxy they probably had to use for the water. I think it's pretty cool that they have Mickey bringing down barrels of water because that's the first thing you see Mickey do in the Sorcerer's Apprentice short. So I guess it's only fair that they have Mickey in his very first appearance from the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Now, to me, the big test to these Funko Pops is the standing. If they stand well, they're good. So, Clint, I actually haven't had a chance to purchased the Kubo Pops. I did see a preview image, and frankly, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them. It looks like it's just Kubo. It looks like it's the ape whose characters I forgot. I think her name was just Monkey. Monkey, Kubo, and I forgot what the third one was, but something didn't really appeal to me about those Pops. Good movie though, I can't lie. I mean, I got excited, but I just wasn't too impressed with the Funko Pops. But this is good. Look at this. Mickey's standing pretty well. I'm happy about that. That's good. That's a big thing because a lot of the times the Funkos don't stand, and that's a big concern. I see a little white number down on the bottom. I don't know if that means anything. But I'm pretty impressed. I like the tone, skin tone they have for this pop. It's very natural. It's very reminiscent of the original Fantasia short. You know, they really got down to colors, so I appreciate that. 90 years, you're right, Luke. Ding, ding, ding. This is Mickey's 90th birthday. Coming in November. Technically, I would argue that his birthday was in May. Plain Crazy was fully produced by that point and aired, so that would technically be the first Mickey Mouse short and the first premiere date. However, people are including Steamboat Willie as that was the first time you heard Mickey talk, so you guess you could say it's the full package deal. So that's the first official Mickey Mouse short with sound. I guess in some ways kind of makes sense. I guess this would be a good opportunity to talk about the other commemorative Mickey Mouse items they've produced. When I went to Target, I got another Steamboat Willie figure here. Not made by Funko, made by a different production, made by a different manufacturer. I like it a lot. It's a great little figure to put on your desk. However, one thing that kind of bothers me, the tail is stuck on the butt. So, like, it's not an actual tail. I feel like they could have done something clever as opposed to this. You look at the back and it doesn't even look like a tail. It looks like a teacup handle. Mickey's got a teacup handle hanging off his butt. That's kind of weird. But the thing about these surprise packs that I see at Target is that you don't know which ones you're going to get when you purchase them. You could be purchasing the same ones. First one I got is Prototype Pete. I mean, I know technically it's Pete, even if you play Kingdom Hearts 2, you know it's supposed to be like the first appearance of Pete when he's captain of the steamboat. And then the goat who eats turkey in the straw and starts to sing the song. They're really cool. I like them. I didn't take them out of their glasses. I think what I want to do is I want to see if I can get all of them and just sort of like connect them all like this. Because if you look, these little Power Ranger Zordon capsules, you can connect them together like this. Yeah. Like that. See? They connect over at the bottom. Like Legos. It's so easy, guys. It's fantastically easy. So easy a pigman can do it. Yeah, right. Why cannot? And those are a couple other little figures I have commemorating Mickey's 90th. I would like to look into what Vans has. I hope they have some shoes still available. They said they released them on the 25th, so there's a good chance they're probably selling out already. I missed the boat when Vans produced Marvel sneakers. They had a really great pair of high tops that were Deadpool themed. Those are really cool. I missed out on that. So we got some questions. Am I going to buy the 10-inch Mickey Mouse pop coming to Target? I would like to. I think that would be kind of a nice thing to put in my collection. The problem is I don't know where I'm going to put it in my house. Apartment. I don't know where I'm going to be putting it. Probably putting it on the top of my shelf. It also depends on how much it comes out to. I think when it comes to things like that, I'm going to wait till Comic-Con. New York Comic Con, they usually got a big Funko panel there, so I'm probably going to wait until then. But that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Piggy fan number 1, I guess this would be a good question to ask anyways. What is my favorite and least favorite animated film this year so far? So, I want to say, I have to really think back to all the films I saw, so I'm going to write this down. Because I got to jog my memory on this one. Alright, I guess in the meantime, while I'm jogging my memory, I do want to mention that I got some other pops that I picked up. This I picked up at a comic book store. It's Stimpy! I didn't get Ren. They had Ren too, but I liked Stimpy more. Look at that. Look at that detail. He's got a booty. Extra thick. It's adorable. I love. Sometimes with Funkos, they put detail in certain things that don't necessarily need detail. For the sake of the character. I guess it's just like a Funko trade, not even like just specific to like the pop line, but just in general when it comes to Funko, they like getting the nerdy details, like giving him butt cheeks, the tongue hanging out, very unique to the character. But of course, he's got those dead black eyes like all the other Funkos. I think for the sake of continuity, they kept the same face for the Mickeys versus because they originally released the Mickey Mouse Funko, and I guess they want to stay in line with all those. That to me makes sense. Sorry about that, Caleb. You come at the right time, I guess. So let's actually think back for a second. Someone asked me one of my favorite animated films of the year so far. So I saw Isle of Dogs. So that was this year. That was a good film. Saw Incredibles 2. That was good as well. I don't think I took an opportunity to see all the bad movies yet. I'm pretty sure I saw a bad animated film. I'm blanking out for some reason. I just can't remember. Dang it, I gotta think about this one for a bit. You'd figure I'd be more prepared. Was My Little Pony this year, or was that last year? I'm gonna say that was last year. Someone correct me there. Let me know if that was last year. Positive that was last year. Actually, why doesn't somebody post a list of all the animated features? I'll look into that. It's kind of hard for me to do that on the computer while also looking all the questions. There is no microphone. How do you guys hear the audio? Can you hear me? Because Cos Walker here's telling me what's up with the mic. See, I don't have a microphone on me. Yeah, I don't have a mic. Yeah, I don't know what you're asking. What's with the mic? So I don't know what that meant. Nice to meet you, Writer's Block. Good to see you, buddy. Funko, put the fun in Funko. So, okay, someone mentioned Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That was a film I saw. I mean, I posted a review of it, so I obviously had to have seen the film, right? See, right now I'm writing all the animated films that I've seen this year. I know I didn't see Sergeant Stubby. I heard that was a good film. Could you believe that? Sergeant Stubby, a film called Sergeant Stubby, apparently was, like, really good. Kind of surprised me. I would never have guessed that a great movie like was called Sergeant Stubby. Oh, wow. Wow, Clint. I didn't know that there's going to be a Simpsons Funko. Oh, I'm kind of excited now. Maybe they're going to do a Disenchanted line, too. Or, I know they did Futurama a while back, so maybe they'll do something for that again. Or maybe I just have to go out and search for those, which would cost me money. Let's see other questions anybody has. Oh yeah, Hotel Transylvania 3, I saw that too. I saw that as an early preview, because I was an Amazon Prime member. Didn't see Early Man. Did not see Sherlock Gnomes, but I feel like I missed a great opportunity in seeing that. I think around that time I was having a hard time maintaining my schedule, but that would be fun. So yeah, I actually believe the only animated films that I've seen this year so far were Isle of Dogs, Incredibles 2, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and Hotel Transylvania 3. Do we include Happy Time Murders? Because I didn't see that yet, but I always love asking people about puppetry in the form of animation, because to me, it's a distant relative. Imagine, if we were to talk about film as like family members, I always considered puppetry as like the distant family member to animation. I mean, like, in some ways it kind of crosses that line where you're bringing life to an inanimate object. You're just not doing it in a frame-to-frame process. And then again, motion capture doesn't rely on frame by frame animation. It relies on exactly what it sounds like, motion capture. You create a model. So like I always love asking people about their thoughts on puppetry in effect and how it's considered an animation type or even like an older form of animation. There you go. It's a bridge to between live action and animation. Yes, thank you, Daniel. You were the one who brought up that Hotel Transylvania 3 had an early screening, so I appreciate that. Though not other people would know that, don't you think? I think not too many people would know that. But I'm glad you brought that up anyways. I know it's funny. This is my mind just wanders like places, but since we were talking about films, I'm not going to see this one, or at least I'm not anticipating this one, for starters, because this isn't even going to be in the film. This logo specifically. Like, I remember when the first trailer for Venom came out, and they showed the face, and I was already skeptical. I was like, they're going to show the face to Venom as the logo, but why not the thing we all know Venom for, the big spider? And then it was revealed at some point that this isn't going to be continuity to the MCU, and that Sony's going to be doing their own thing with the character, and I just feel like that's a missed opportunity. Tom Hardy and Tom Holland would mesh very well. I think that would have been cool, but right now it's just a turd in the wind. I think I mentioned before I was kind of lukewarm and I was kind of anticipating Venom in a previous stream. I forgot. You guys probably remember better than I do. My memory's like shoddy. But like now I just lost all interest, especially since they announced that news. Let's see, are there any other questions? I think I caught up on all the questions. So I actually got to answer the first one, which was favorite animated film of the year. So I'll be real with you. These were all really good. I will say though, the two that are on the lesser tier will probably be Teen Titans Go and Hotel Transylvania 3. But I will say that Isle of Dogs and Incredibles 2 are up there. I can't say. I would say Isle of Dogs is probably the big one right now. I saw that film 3 times in theaters. Very quirky. Love Wes Anderson's style, and contrary to what most people feel, I actually think this is like the biggest detour for him. Interesting too, like Greta Gerwig is in the film, and she came off of Lady Bird, and she's a voice actress in that film, so didn't really like her character that much. I found her character to be an odd detour. But so far, I would say Isle of Dogs and Incredibles 2 are up there. For some reason, I loved Incredibles 2 more when I first saw it. I think there were a couple things that I knew were problems, and I think as a sequel to The Incredibles 2, it was very serviceable, but there were certain things that I think I have to rewatch the film again to see if my opinion still holds up the same way it did on my first review. But yeah, Teen Titans Go, like I said, was just a moderate experience, you know? I thought it was definitely better than most Teen Titans Go episodes. I mean, I've got to give you some credit there. Like, let's not beat around the bush. There's been this like big thing with Teen Titans Go and people who criticize it, and it's like if you criticize it, you don't understand it, you don't get it. It's a good show. Give it a chance. And it's like, listen, I've been following the show since it first came out. Probably not as consistently over the years because it's not on Cartoon Network as much as it was. I got rid of my cable package, so I actually haven't seen it in like a few months at this point. But like my first initial problem was that I would always see Teen Titans Go because it was everywhere. It was on all the time, so it was easy for me to have an opinion on it. So like, I think it's interesting that, you know, as the show progressed, there were certain things that changed, but ultimately what it was, the show has just always stayed consistent, and I was just never really a fan of, which I mentioned in my review. But Hotel Transylvania 3 is also a good film. I gave it a glowing review, a positive review. So, but I guess on the grand scheme of things, Isle of Dogs may be the #1 animated film to come out this year. Surprising though that I didn't get it on DVD yet. But it's weird because like I feel like as far as animation goes, this has been kind of a weaker year in my opinion. Because like the films that really stand out to me are the live action ones. Like right now, just like when Captain America: Civil War and Deadpool came out, it's between those two comic book movies that are really doing it for me. It's like God, Deadpool 2 is just such a great film. It continued everything I loved about it. And ultimately, Deadpool 1 ultimately became my favorite film of that year's comic book film of that year. Whereas Captain America Civil War was, I acknowledge as being a quality better film, but as far as the experience goes, I was just always watching Deadpool. And I think that may happen again, but I gotta watch those two films again. Also got a Blu-ray player because DVD, I'm not gonna cut it for just the regular 720D DI for those. So let's see if we got any more questions, or if you guys want to talk more about Funkos. What if somebody actually liked the return? Delete. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know where that question came from, but I don't know what the context of that question would be. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be seeing Ralph Breaks the Internet. I think that film's got a lot of potential. I think it's interesting because marketing seems to suggest that this film doesn't want to be like a film focused on internet culture, much like the Emoji film was, Emoji Movie. And it's very clear that they're focusing on the Disney aspect of things, which ultimately is the thing that most people like and been very responsive to. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Happy Time Murders. I would like to see that. Believe it or not, as far as like just regular film talk, I would want to see Alpha. I was actually looking forward to that film when it first came out because just by its trailer, just the initial concept is like, what if we followed the first domesticated wolf who would eventually become like the first prototype dog? You know, and I'm a dog person. By the way, happy National Dog Day. So there's my tie-in, guys. See what I did there? Totally on purpose. It was on purpose. I did that on purpose. You know, tied in National Dog Day. I was just talking about. Waffles are for losers. Pancakes all the way. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like waffles more. They absorb more than syrup. I don't know what kind of question that is, but there's your answer. Thundercats 2011 would be an interesting thing to look into. Pancakes with abs, that's great. So listen, writer's block, that's a great question you're asking as far as what comics I've been reading. I was actually thinking about doing the DC streaming site because I didn't realize that you could actually get access to their digital library of comics. So I may want to check that out. I thought it was just going to be video streaming, which to me didn't make sense because lately DC's media is just on the fence. Why would they pursue it? But hearing about their digital library, you can go online and just access digital comics. I think that would be very interesting. But believe it or not, I don't know if I mentioned this before. Actually going to go take a step back for 2 seconds. You can probably still hear me, but these are 2 comics that I picked up when I was in Montreal. Not Montreal, Old Quebec City. Oh, 3 comics actually. So here's something neat. I went to a thrift store in Old Quebec City, and I picked this up. If you notice, this is one of the issues to Sin City. I believe this would be A Dame to Kill For, right? No, is it the Big Fat Kill? It's the one with Marv. But I got really excited because this I just found in the thrift store. I feel like I'm gonna hold on to this one for $3. So I was kind of excited to pick up this one. Yeah, it definitely is interesting. Interesting to see a Sin City comic from its original print. But here are 2 comics I picked up just for myself, and I actually told Matt, Animat, about this because these are in French. Since we're on the train talking about Mickey Mouse, take a look at this. Just post right now your first opinion, just the first word you can think of when I show you just the images, the artwork to this Mickey Mouse comic book. Just your first word that comes to mind. This is completely in French, by the way, and I can't speak a lick of French, so I need one of those online translators to read it, which I have. It's a basic adventure comic. Mickey is an explorer with Goofy and Minnie, and even Pete. Like this is gorgeous. Like, look at this. This is a gorgeous comic.
This is like Treasure Planet with the Mickey gang in steampunk for some reason. It's just such a gorgeous comic. So apparently this is called Mickey and the Lost Bird. Look at this image. This really got me. This is like Starry Night, like a Van Gogh painting, and you got Peg Leg Pete in his original costume, or just Pete in his original costume. Even like original rubber hose Goofy here, original suspender. This is a dream sequence. This is a gorgeous comic. Just absolutely gorgeous.
There you said, beautiful, gorgeous, interesting, breathtaking. Yeah, this is amazing. I was super stoked to have picked up this comic, and it made me realize that the French are really kicking our butts when it comes to comics. Those guys, they always had their head in the game when it comes to graphic novels, which is weird because we always talk about Western comics, superhero comics, and then anime, manga, and the Japanese comics, but never really address the European comics. The Europeans, they got their A game when it comes to their work. I mean, most of the time they're coming to the States and they're making comics for us, but like those publishers, those books, those are top notch quality. Always felt that way. That sounds like such a hipster thing to mention too, but it's truth. It really is. This was another book I picked up, more or less just a general samurai, Japanese-inspired folklore that to me, I felt like had the tone of the comic that I was working on, Khalil, and I felt like was something that I would love to just have for reference on a hero's journey, medieval folklore type story. I felt like this really captured what I was trying to do with Khalil, even in its illustration type and the violence. It was basically what I was going for, and it was just interesting to see another book copied. Not copy that, because I'm not implying anything. I'm implying that like it's cool to see an influence that I was going for also be influenced, because it's a fairly common influence for young adult type action adventure hero journey stories. So it's cool to see something else, and good to know that I'm not living in a vacuum when it comes to storytelling like that. But yeah, those are the comics that I've been reading lately. I'm always hip to reading new comics. I'm always hip to like exploring different mediums and different genres of storytelling. That's just me. But that Mickey comic, oh boy. Apparently there's going to be a couple more in that series too. It's like, imagine steampunk Mickey Mouse in the world of Avatar. Like, it's breathing. Oh, I didn't even mention this to you too. There's an homage to the fact that Disney owns Star Wars. I want to find the image too. They just have mugs of Chewie, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. Like here. This image right here. Look right there. There's Han Solo. And Pete's got Darth Vader, obviously. Minnie's got Leia. Mickey's got Han Solo, and I believe Goofy's got a stormtrooper, because of course Goofy's got a stormtrooper. It's such a great comic. It's it's probably one of my favorites, and so gorgeous, so beautiful. I mean, when I look at stuff like that, it inspires me. It really inspires me to make great work, which I guess I should be bringing up too. I'm not going to be drawing on my streams, because I've noticed some people are taking screenshots of it, which to me just seems kind of weird. Now, when I was first doing it, it was making sense, but now I'm realizing that I should really take advantage of the fact that when I'm making artwork, it is sort of like work. I mean, I don't ever looked at it that way, but I am putting effort into it that I think over time may require some compensation. I know it sounds really rude and crude and cheap, but like, I think at this point, if I'm going to be doing drawings, it should be paid work. So that's why I've been more hesitant about what I post on my Facebooks and Twitters. But I will open up some commissions. I kind of just put an idea of rates, which I'll be posting on my. I'll bring it a little bit closer here. I'll answer any questions you have if anybody's interested in any specific commissions. This is really just based on two sizes. If you want me to do single characters, or if you want me to do black and white, or just inked work, colored work, or do it on a larger scale like 5x7 or 8x10. Honestly, it's just basically 250 is like a base rate, and I just tack on an additional 250 based on what else you'd like to add. It's pretty straightforward. At this point, I would probably be working through PayPal or Venmo. Those are two of the paying options that I would be looking through. And there's always my Etsy store too. I'll post links to that as well. I don't know if I post a link to my Etsy store though. My videos. I think that's the one link I don't post, which is weird. Yeah, I would love to go back to the Funkos. So I was a little disappointed by this. I was excited because this is also in Old Quebec City. But I found Uncle Scrooge Funko Pop, and I got very excited. But the problem is, I'm taking the stickies off because when you try to stand him up, he tips over. So I'm actually kind of surprised because as far as characters go, you would figure Scrooge would be more well balanced, but yet he isn't. So I was kind of disappointed by that, but I was very excited to see a Scrooge McDuck Funko Pop. I didn't even think I shared that on Twitter too. I was like, look guys, I found Scrooge. Just as excited as finding the terror that flaps in the night, Darkwing Duck right next to him. Just stick that right down there. There we go. He stands though. I think there's just something more balanced about this Funko. I just love how traditional they kept it. I mean, granted, you could still see it being a Funko Pop, but like, it's great how much they capture the Disney afternoon feel of this pop. I mean, it's a great one. I'm glad I got it. And I think those are the only two new Funkos that I got, honestly. Unless you want to see Mr. Rogers. Did I share with you Mr. Rogers? I think I probably have. Those are really the only two new ones that I got. Let's see. Chad Hawksworth asks, did you ever see Cops or America's Most Wanted? In passing? I mean, that's just an interesting question. I mean, that's one question I don't really think about, but I've watched it in passing. See, that's the problem, Zombie Powder. The Mickey Mouse comic really needed to be in English, but they don't have an English translation for it. They don't. You actually, the only way I've been able to read this comic was through a translator. But honestly, it does it justice when the story you're reading is being told visually as well as it is being told in words. And I've been able to understand the story of the comic without having to know a lick of French, with just very loose translations here and there. So it's really a testament to how great that comic is. It's amazing. It's wow. Oh, of course. Of course. Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps? I more or less Are You Afraid of the Dark growing up. But then again, when I was watching Are You Afraid of the Dark, this was before we had cable, so I was watching it on VHS. I mean, I remember my dad would rent us the collections, the anthology tapes, I guess. You know, like beautiful orange VHS tapes of episodes of Ren and Stimpy, Doug, Rugrats, and Are You Afraid of the Dark, and Clarissa Knows All those great shows. Alex Mack, Adventures of Pete and Pete. All those shows. Good times, good times. Good times ahead indeed. But yeah, I would say I was probably leaning more towards Are You Afraid of the Dark, but I read more Goosebumps though, like in elementary school. Yeah. So Daniel asks, am I looking forward to Smallfoot? I really don't have an opinion on it. Okay, I guess you could say it's kind of a not really looking forward to it. Nothing about it. I mean, and it's funny too because the movie's coming out the week of my birthday, but I'm telling you straight up, I probably wouldn't bother to see it that week. I'm gonna wait a week or two to see it. Maybe I'll put a review of it. I guess. I just it really depends on what's coming out that week. I really haven't had a chance to look into it. But from what I see, it just looks like a standard animated film with very interesting animation. I mean, it looks like they had the same animators from Hotel Transylvania 3 work on this film. To me, it just seems like one of those films that's been on the back burner and they just decided to release it now. And with today's animation, It's got popular voice actors. It's got this. What's the story about? It's a Yeti. You know, it's like, okay, cool. No pun intended. Stay cool, bird boy. It's got Yetis in it. Yeah. Attempted one in '98. I don't know. Oh, Are You Afraid of the Dark film? I believe Are You Afraid of the Dark inspired M. Night Shyamalan. Look into that. I think the plot to Sixth Sense was inspired by an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark. Tom and Jerry Funkos, I saw those. However, I didn't actually purchase those. No, I take that back. I saw them online, but I didn't purchase them. I didn't look into where they were going to be. So, I've heard of them. I saw what they looked like. Very interesting. I'm surprised. I think I would probably want to expand my collection into the Hanna-Barbaras, because that's been like a staple for like the Wacky Wobblers and like just good old Funko in general. So I would like to expand my collection there. Wow. Look at that. By the way, welcome at Animation Analysis. Am I going to watch the Adventure Time series finale next week? I didn't even know it was going to be next week. Like I said, I don't have Cartoon Network, so I haven't been able to follow it as I used to. But that's something. Would you believe the show's been on air since technically, I would say Adventure Time has been around since when I first started college in 2009. Wow, it's been nine years, almost a whole decade of Adventure Time. Good run. I'm kind of glad they didn't run that show into the ground. I don't know what that was. I'm kind of glad they didn't run that show to the ground. I haven't been following it as I used to. I mean, it's weird. It's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't really followed Star vs. the Forces of Evil or Steven Universe. Those shows have got continuity. They got such continuity. It's hard to just jump in. It's like, yeah, just watch an episode. It's like, where do I start? It's like, I feel like I have to start from the beginning, which is great because I have Hulu, so I could always do that. It's just my time on Hulu is dedicated to watching Always Sunny, and I just finished Futurama again. Great show to revisit. I've been just on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I've been just tweeting about Futurama left and right. It's a great show. And I think I was only doing it because I was anticipating Disenchanted. I feel like it would be good to revisit a Matt Groening series in a whole and catch up on the episodes that I didn't see because, believe it or not, I was a bigger fan of Futurama, I want to say, when it was on Adult Swim. I actually was around when it was... I remember seeing it on TV when it was on Fox, going way back around 2000. But, I was following the show more when it was on Adult Swim, and then the movies came out, I was watching those religiously. But then once it come back on Comedy Central, I had to, wasn't following it as much as I used to. I didn't have cable back when I was in college, so it was hard for me to watch it then too. So it was an opportunity for me to catch up in it, and I'm going to disagree with a lot of people, because a lot of people give the Comedy Central run a bad rap, but I think for what they did, it was a great continuation of the series. I mean, it is Futurama. They just kept the series going. And where they left off makes me happy. I mean, at this point, if they ever decide to do anything Futurama related, it would probably be a film. I mean, I would like to see a fully realized action, comedy, wacky film with high sci-fi concepts, maybe directed by Taika Waititi or something. I was actually just thinking about that on my way out, just earlier today. If they ever did a Futurama movie, who would direct it? How would it look? And I just thought about Taika Waititi for some reason, and I'd be kind of cool. It's Taika Waititi does a cameo in all of his movies. Which quirky character would he play? And I'd be imagine if Hermes, instead of being Jamaican, they decided to make him from New Zealand and have him be a New Zealand version of Hermes. Hey, everybody. Bureaucrat. I'm a bureaucrat. You want to start a revolution? That'd be fun. Is Always Sunny is one of the most brilliant shows, right up there with Big Bang, Curve, and Malcolm in the Middle. So I've never heard of Curve. No, I'm just kidding. It's Curb Your Enthusiasm. By the way, since I was just talking about Futurama, it's great to know that B. Arthur was in both Curb Your Enthusiasm and Futurama. Just putting that out there. I will say though, Always Sunny is a fantastic show. I mean, I say I'm watching it. As if I'm catching up. This would be my third time binging the show. This is the only other show that I've binged in its whole run 3 times, and I follow it religiously on TV too. When I see my folks, they have the cable package, so I see FXX when I go see my folks. But like that show, and it's great to know too because I'm from Philly. I work in Philly, so seeing all the landmarks, all the references, very subtle references too. Like for anybody that lives in Philly, they got a couple jokes in there, just catered specific to the Philly crowd. Like one episode, their main character talks about getting a rash, and he says he was hanging around Kensington, which they do a silent pause afterwards, and then they continue on with the joke. But that's to acknowledge that Kensington, as far as the neighborhood goes in Philly, is a kind of a crap town. So it's kind of a bad neighborhood, to say the least. So it was funny that they made that joke. Even people in Kensington are like, it's a bad neighborhood. Why would the creators need to make a Last Airbender reboot with Always Sunny? I mean, there's probably going to be a dub out there of episodes where they redub The Last Airbender with the lines of Charlie maybe having redub all the lines that Sokka is saying with Charlie Kelly. That'd be kind of funny. Taika Waititi. I was thinking about Taika Waititi as Zoidberg. That'd be kind of funny too. But I don't know if he's got like that deep enough voice to do it. But it would be interesting. See, that's the thing. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a good film. Ant-Man and the Wasp was good too. I enjoyed that film. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So Daniel asks if I'm looking forward to the new Halloween film that's coming out. I think it's interesting. I mean, I think the idea of it is interesting. I think Logan really broke the industry in a way where it's like, let's have old actors acknowledge that they're old and revisit the franchises that they made because old is good. If that makes sense. Like, now we're getting it with the Terminator movie, which a lot of people are like taking a big dump on. But like, I'm kind of interested to see a Terminator film with Linda Hamilton reprising her role as Sarah Connor. But to also have a Halloween movie with yeah, I'm gonna move this here because I gotta charge my iPad. With Jamie Lee Curtis, the original Scream Queen, guys. Jamie Lee Curtis is the original Scream Queen. Bet you didn't know that. Well, you probably all know that. We're all a bunch of nerds who love movies, so we all know that. I didn't know that. Why else would Jamie Lee Curtis be in a show called Scream Queens? Because she's the original Scream Queen. So if we're going to talk about Always Sunny versions of Last Airbender characters, Iroh, Danny DeVito, Frank Reynolds is Uncle Iroh. I feel like there'd be no other role for Dennis than to have him play either Zuko or Aang or Aang. I said Aang like in the movie. Have I seen Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I have not seen the first episode, but I am gonna cheat. I know I mentioned before I was very disappointed with Doug Walker and the change the channel, and I still am very disappointed. But just out of a limb, I decided to revisit one of his reviews, and I did see his review of Rise of the TMNT just because I didn't know what else to really. I didn't know what else to really think. I mean, not like I was going there just to see. Also see, and honestly, my opinion really hasn't changed. I don't think I'm this big of a fan of his material, especially we changed the channel as I used to be. But based on what I saw with Rise, I don't. I think I'd have to wait till that's on TV. Maybe if they've got it on Amazon or Hulu to decide to watch the whole series. But I will say the action looks pretty good. The animation looked pretty top notch in it. From what I understand, it seems a little too goofy. I mean, which is fine. I like goofy humor. SpongeBob still holds up to me, especially now with Hillenburg overseeing the show. So I like goofy humor. I love Goofy. I mean, who doesn't love goofiness in animation? That's the staple of like most great cartoons, you know. Let's see. Wow, you're friends with Noah Ringer. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Not bad, not bad. I mean, I can't give him crap. Wasn't Noah Ringer also in Heroes? Didn't he also play Ali Larter's younger son? Let me know that. I think he did. I think he was also in Cowboys and Aliens. So I'm actually looking more forward to Shazam, and I think that's just out of loyalty to the character. I actually read a few more Shazam comics growing up, so I was more familiar with this character, and watching that trailer, I'm gonna quote a meme here. Delicious. That Zachary Levi playing Billy Batson, and they narrowed down the idea of that character really well. It's what if Big had the powers of Superman, and that's what Shazam, or in my opinion, Captain Marvel, is all about. Yeah, I know that's a big debate because technically Shazam, whose name was Captain Marvel, came out first. However, for years, even before Marvel's Captain Marvel came out, they had the comic called Shazam. So it's not really a big deal, but most people always associate the name of the character to Captain Marvel. So to me, it'd be interesting how they approach that. I hear they're not even going to acknowledge that his name is Captain Marvel. So I see everybody's asking me a whole bunch of questions. I want to ask you guys a question. I want to know, I was planning on revisiting Thumbelina. And I was planning on revisiting Thumbelina. I'll give you a very gist of what I want to be talking about. Because, like, Thumbelina is a Don Bluth film that came out in the 90s. I want to say, this is like one of the first animated films that I saw growing up. Along with a whole bunch of films I remember having it on VHS, whatnot. And I liked it as a kid. I mean, I really didn't have an opinion on it. It was one of my first animated films, so it was just bright bounciness. It was like, oh, that's cute, that's fun. I actually do remember distinctly liking All Dogs Go to Heaven more than I liked Thumbelina, probably for good reason. But, like, I decided to revisit this film. It was on TV. God. Wow. That film sucks. It did not hold up. I remember people talking bad about it. I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. Thumbelina can't be that bad. Hans Christian Andersen's story, directed by Don Bluth. Can't go wrong there. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I would love to do a review of it. Because I think it's just interesting. We got Jodie Benson reprising a role as Ariel in Wreck-It Ralph 2, where Ralph Breaks the Internet, in some ways. So it's interesting to see Jodie Benson in another hand-drawn animated film. I didn't even know Jodie Benson was in it. And, cool, I kid you not, she plays the princess in that film. Like, I don't know how they managed to get her to do that. But, like, yeah. Actually, let me know in the comment section below. I'm 100% positive Jodie Benson was playing Thumbelina in that film, too. But, like, that was a bad film. It was really. I rewatched it again. I was like, ooh, so much noise, so much bounciness. There's the story. The dialogue is what really killed me. It's like, this is like the guy who wrote the dialogue who's directing the dialogue for movies like, even Anastasia had good dialogue. Even like even like Titan AE had decent dialogue, or even like shoot, Secret of Nim. All dogs go to heaven. Oh, all dogs go to heaven. Dialogue's okay, but like Lay Before Time, American Tail. This dialogue, it was so kiddie and silly. And I guess it makes sense. I was a really little kid when it first came out, so I couldn't really think anything else about it. But like revisiting that film, I feel like I could have a good review out of that. But I think it's just one of those things where the YouTube algorithm would probably kick its butt if I posted it online. All right. Yeah. So I see people are bringing up the Invader Zim film. I'm probably not going to watch it. I posted my reaction to it on my Facebook page. I give much credit to people the fans really saved that show. I will say this though. I will say give some credit to this because around the time Yohan Vasquez was creating the show and he was getting a foot in his career, he was still very like emo-ish. He was still very put-off-ish. So he was like, screw corporations and stuff like that. I'm never gonna do Invader Zim ever again. It's very clear. More when he got older, you could tell he matured in a sense, and I kind of appreciate that. Not because it shows the development of an artist. The only other artist I feel like when it comes to this is the creator of the Tick. Didn't see the second half of the live action Tick series on Amazon Prime yet, but the creator of the Tick revisiting something he created when he was in high school. You know, shows a level of maturity, and I feel like that has transitioned into Yohan's work. I'm just not a fan of Invader Zim. I mean, you want to know more? I posted the review. It's still on YouTube. Go watch that. You'll see more. Go watch it. I don't belabor a dead horse here. What we need not is Invader Zim. It's Danny Phantom, all caps. Go Ghost again. That's interesting considering that Butch Hartman is an interesting character. I haven't really talked a lot about Butch Hartman. I did post artwork to one of his challenges, and it was mentioned on one of his videos. I imagined what Timmy Turner would look like as Adventure Time characters, and it got a good reaction out of him. So I was kind of happy. I was proud of that. It's that Kickstarter he started, right? So like apparently he was starting a kid-friendly streaming service, which okay, sounds nice, seems like a nice nature. I follow Butch Hartman for a really long time, and I know that he's a devout Catholic. And I appreciate about that, but to me it was never like he really pushed it. I never really got the feeling that he really pushed his religion on people. But then I find out that, and this is discovered as people are following this Kickstarter, he like is making it a Christian streaming service. And I was like, yeah, I can get behind that, but why didn't you state that to begin with? Why do you have to state that halfway through after you raised the money for your Kickstarter? Because he raised the money for the Kickstarter, but he didn't really explain to anybody what the service site was going to be focused on, and it's established it's going to be a Christian-based streaming site. So I was just kind of put off by that, and I think I've been following less of his work since then, which is a shame because growing up, I mean, I would watch Danny Phantom in a heartbeat, and I would love to revisit it. I think I was in FYE the other day, and I saw collection of Danny Phantom DVDs. I would love to revisit that too. Yeah, he really lost me. Kind of, but you know, I always admired him as an artist. I'll say that. Admired him as an artist, but he's got some really weird opinions about stuff and how he's going about doing it. And even then, the more I'm realizing, it's just it's been pushing me further away from him. Let's see. John August's original script for Corpse Bride was much longer, more epic, but had to cut down because it was too long. So I didn't know that, but I do know John August wrote Corpse Bride, because right around that time he also wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I do know that Course Bride was the concept, was the brainchild of Tim Burton and Pixar storyboard artist Joe Rapp before his unfortunate passing. Um, I wish I mentioned that in my review, by the way. The little things in hindsight you wish you bring up. But it's interesting to see that sort of collaboration, because Joe Rapp was a really big deal in animation. He really left a mark, not just on Pixar, but on Disney and Tim Burton's work too. You know what's interesting is, like, I would love if there was a book that came out that talked about the year 1995. Because if there's ever a great year to talk about when it comes to animation, like a nexus point when it comes to like where animation, feature-length animation would go, that would be a great book to talk about in 3 parts. One, the release, the Lion King hype. Because I think Lion King was already out, but it was still very popular. 2, the rise of Pixar, Toy Story being released. That would be a great story to include in there as well. And 3, the hype of The Nightmare Before Christmas and the cult following that resulted after that. I feel like if you wrote a book focused on that time period where all 3 of these things just happened, that's the literal example of the stars aligning, where it's like the end of the Disney Renaissance, the start of Pixar, and essentially the growth of stop motion animation in America. That's the time to do it. I mean, that would be a very interesting book to read. Let me know what you think too. Maybe a video. Maybe I would love to do like a video retrospective on that. Like just talking about the year 1995 and how it relates to animation. Sure, I've heard of Quack Pack. I watched it when it was first on TV. They had an episode called Koi Story, which is a pun off of Toy Story. I know they referenced, and someone asked me earlier in the stream too, what I thought about the DuckTales reboot. But that's a show that's trying to connect everything in the kitchen sink to the Disney afternoon and make the Disney afternoon into sort of like a cinematic universe. But it's like one of those shows where I watched the first episode and I watched a few other episodes and I kind of understand where things are going, but I think it's okay. I feel like I just have to watch it more. I'm kind of just like, it's a good show, but, you know, it's a good show. I mean, it's really all I gotta say about it right now. I don't think I have any more of an opinion on it. I do think the character design for Magic of the Spell really kicks butt. Amazing! Whew. So somebody asks me, Shrek or the Emoji Movie or Food Fight or Trolls? How about not? Wait a minute. Why is Shrek in that list? Son, Shrek is love and life, and celebrate Shrek. Shrek is the man. He's the ogre. He's the ogre. Respect Shrek. No disrespect to Shrek. He doesn't even belong on that list. Shrek is the man. The ogre. Why do you keep saying that? I'm getting a good caffeine buzz right now. By the way, if anybody's in the Pennsylvania area, always go for Wawa coffee. I know amongst Pennsylvaniaites, there's a distinction between Wawa and Sheetz. I kid you not, the chain is called Sheetz. 2 convenience stores in Pennsylvania. Always stick with Wawa. My sister, she's more on the side of, because she went to, she was more near Pittsburgh, so like, she was more on the side of Sheetz. Me personally, I'm a Wawa guy, so got my hazelnut Wawa coffee right here. Exactly. Nobody disrespects Shrek. He's the man. Green ogre in the sky. By the way, I'm thinking about posting this tomorrow. On my Twitter, I posted a short animation, a random animation too, but the reason why I posted it was because I took part in a collaboration where a whole bunch of filmmakers, animators, anybody who just wanted to contribute, would animate, I kid you not, a short sequence from Shrek, and it's going to be put together into a feature-length showing of Shrek at a, I kid you not, Shrek festival in Wisconsin. A festival dedicated to love and life. And my bit is in there, and I'm thinking about posting that tomorrow on YouTube. But it's a really short animation. maybe post a short video before just explaining the context to it a little bit. But like, the idea of it is that you remake a scene from the film Shrek, and I decided to do it in very cruddy flash animation. Like I mentioned, I also mentioned this on Twitter too. Twitter handle Joey.T.Cartoon.P. I used to animate more with Adobe Flash when I was younger. I'd say like high school, start of college, but then I lost the program. I re-downloaded it. Now it's called Animate, but I'm always going to call it Flash. So I've been reanimating things. Believe it or not, you may not know this, but one of my first Cartoon Palooza reviews incorporated some Flash animation. If you watch the Batman Filmation review, you'll see a segment that's fire floating up. That was animation I created, but believe it or not, the animation I created for that was actually for a video game I was working on with some friends in college. Really weird 2D side scroller that didn't go anywhere. So I just reused that animation. Just like Filmation. Lesson learned. So Nathaniel asks me, do I think Turbo was that bad? It was a pretty forgettable Pixar animated film. So much so that it reminded me of Turbo. Gives me glimpses here and there. It's a shame too, because I don't think I mentioned this in a review, but I actually really loved Ryan Reynolds before it was cool to love Ryan Reynolds. You gotta understand, I was a fan of Ryan Reynolds just from the movie Just Friends. I watched that film every Christmas. It's a great heartwarming holiday classic. Where Ryan Reynolds wears a fat suit, and the birth of the term the friend zone became popular. I'm sure that term came out way before the movie, but the movie kind of popularized the idea of the friend zone. But like I always loved Ryan Reynolds as being a funny and great actor with great expressions and timing, and to me was kind of like a statement to leading men, where like and even leading women too. To me, Anna Faris is like one of my favorite leading ladies when it comes to being funny, but also beautiful, but not relying on looks, but actually relying on comedic talent. And the same goes for Ryan Reynolds, where it isn't just about just being a pretty face. You actually have talent. He's just got a great comedian, great comic timing, great comic expressions. A long story short, he played Turbo, so kind of disappointed by that. I always figured he would work well in animation, but then again, stars aligned, got the perfect Deadpool film, and my boy Ryan Reynolds. So I'm gonna need a little bit of understanding. So somebody's asking me, can we do a watch party live stream on Rabbit? We can watch a movie together. Do you like that idea? That sounds interesting. I mean, I wouldn't pass that opportunity. That seems like a good idea. Probably have to look into that though. Probably be more clever about it too. I mean, I'm pretty sure it would probably be deleted off of YouTube for breaking the copyright laws. So I don't know if that's something I can get away with. And I don't know if I can pull it off with the wonderful technological capabilities that I have. But I'll look into it. Yeah, I've never watched Lazy Town, but I'm familiar with the memes, and I am familiar with the actor who passed away, unfortunately, due to cancer. A lot of passings this week. He passed away, John McCain, and even today, a famous Broadway comedian writer passed away too. So it's kind of a big loss for a lot of people. Kind of a down note. Let's see. I love how people really got into the Shrek memes. I liked Shrek before it was. No, I'm just kidding. Like, you gotta understand, Shrek is a very unique film, and it makes sense why once told me the world was gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. I was looking kind of dumb, a finger as dumb in the shape of an L. on his forehead. So finish that off for me. Nathaniel Foga asks, "Who was the best Spider-Man to me?" I will go out and say Tobey Maguire still stands out for me. You gotta understand that was the Spider-Man that really made me a fan. I hated Andrew Garfield's performance of the character. I mean, you have to understand, when it comes to comic book fandom, I think a lot of people who read comic books can stand by this. Really, you get a personal bias towards something, right? And I try to always separate my personal and my fandom to like, what legitimately is right or wrong. And I always have a hard time with Spider-Man when it comes to that. I gush like a beautiful gushy fanboy when it comes to red and blue tights with the spider emblem. I say some of the silliest stuff when it comes to that. I think the silliest stuff, and I know it's silly. I make it very clear this is me just being a goofball at times. But yeah, I always had an appreciation for Tobey Maguire for what he did. He really established that character. He just, captured that dorkiness that I think is essential to why people like Spider-Man. It's that he's you know what? I'll just say Spider-Man is great because he isn't great. Spider-Man messes up all the time. If I give you like a counter for like every time Spider-Man messed up, or did the job wrong, or like got somebody killed by accident, or the guy is so dumb. I kid you not, he didn't even know he was a clone. Like, he actually believed he was a clone. That's how stupid he is. But you know what? Sorry, a little fun. That's what's so great about him, because we're not perfect. And in some ways, we are Peter Parker, and Spider-Man represents the thing we want to be, and even Peter Parker tries to be. And I feel like a lot of portrayals, Tom Holland gets it right. Just odd with the way they have Iron Man having him be his mentor. I don't know if I'm really buying into that whole idea. It works in the films, but like when it comes to just Peter Parker. But anyways, like Tobey Maguire just captures that. Andrew Garfield didn't. He was too smug. He was too. I mean, people were like, "Oh, he's more relatable. He's acting more natural." It's like, well, yeah, he's acting out of character. I mean, the character requires him to have more pathos and more humility. He just didn't have it, So I mentioned this before, and I probably have a couple more questions. Somebody's mentioning, yeah, Spider-Man makes a deal with the devil because like he's just that smart. But you know what? It's the reason why I like Spider-Man more than Batman, right? Batman is the thing we all want to be. Like, Batman is an idea and concept, and Bruce Wayne is just so stubborn in some ways, where he thinks he is that great when he's really just a big mess, and he doesn't really recognize that. Whereas I think Spider-Man has a little bit more humility than Batman does, which gives him that edge as far as a character goes. Not because he's got superpowers, but because as far as like an actual developed character, I feel like Peter Parker just captures something better than what Bruce Wayne does. So to me, I don't ever try to be Batman. I feel content knowing that I can be Spider-Man. And in some ways, I can actually be Spider-Man by just trying to do a good job. And there's just something very, very zen, rewarding, and interesting about that. And this is how I always felt about that character. So, Spider-Man all the way. Mickey Mouse is a great cartoon character, but I mean, you can't really compare a cartoon, like just a straight up cartoon character that's done everything to Spider-Man. Or as far as like actual character and personality goes. But I do love Mickey Mouse. I hate that you made me choose between the two. Damn you, Clint! Damn you for making me choose! See, that's the thing. I would probably like to read more about Spider-Gwen. I know I mentioned Spider-Gwen and I drew her in one of my streams. I would like to look more into her character. Somebody asked about the, about James Gunn getting fired from Guardians 3. Yeah, so in case people haven't been following, He's not coming back. Disney's pretty set on James Gunn not returning over some really old, dated tweets he made when he was like trying to be edgy, and the tweets themselves are very cringy. I'm not gonna lie, but like to me, it just seemed like backhanded, just pettiness because some guy was upset that Roseanne Barr, who was pretty messed up in how she and what she did, getting kicked off of her show, had the nerve to petition James Gunn getting fired over like some really old tweets he made that didn't really, to me, just didn't really have a correlation towards the point. I don't know. Maybe someone could make a better argument for it, but I'm just not seeing it. Right? To me, I just don't see why that was the correlation to get him fired. And a lot of people felt that way too. And now it looks like Guardians 3 is not going to be happening. And honestly, I know Infinity War is probably wrapped up filming at this point. There's no need to worry about Infinity War. But if that's going to be the end of the Guardians, like, who knows? Who knows? Just interesting. Yeah. See, Marvel Rising, I've never been a fan of Marvel animated series, mostly because I haven't really followed them as much. That's the reason I follow them. But like, the idea of it is interesting. I can see why it exists, why Marvel Rising exists. It is a very appropriate for this time. It is very inclusive, let's just put it to you that way. It's all the female characters and minority characters teaming up and fighting crime. And I think there's a great statement out of that too. And I think it's very reflective of the comics that's coming out. And a great big middle finger to Comicsgate. Yeah, that is a stupid thing. In case anybody's following Comicsgate, a bunch of angry guys, angry dorks who don't like inclusion in comics, or at least that's being correlated with like poor morals and poor sales and whatnot. It's so stupid. It's just so dumb. So dumb. Oh my God, Ryan, Ryan, can I just give a shout out to Ryan? This guy has been like on forever, always asking me about my streams. And I really appreciate that. I really do. Sadly, I've been doing this for almost about an hour and a half, I'd say. I'm going on an hour and a half. I think my throat's gonna be giving out. But I'll try to stick around as long as I can, because I really feel bad, because Ryan, that boy, he really did push through for me to have these streams and keep following through on these streams. So that's my shout out to you, Ryan. Stick around just for you. So the thing about the Patreon plans, I want to do it again, but I feel like I really gotta think it through. The thing is, like, right now, financially, I'm doing okay with where I'm at with my reviews. I always did this. I guess you could say this is the business side of things, where it's like, when I produce videos for YouTube, how much am I getting out of it? And right now, where I'm at with the type of production I'm doing, I feel like I'm not in the need to require more right now, if that makes sense. I feel like I've kind of hit a good medium between what I can afford and what I can't. So, like, until I feel the need to really think it through, because, like, here's a life lesson I think I want to encourage for everybody out there. Like, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And yes, I just quoted The Dark Knight. But don't undervalue yourself. Don't undervalue yourself. If you do something and you know you're good at it, take advantage of it. Take that ball and roll with it, because that's how you get through in life. That's how you do well in life. And I felt like I sold myself short on the first Patreon campaign. If I'm going to do it again, I feel like I got to be more realistic. And it's also the reason why I'm holding off on drawing on my streams, because I realize that I could be making money doing this. I could be making money drawing And why do it for free? So that's why I put up commission prices, and I'll go back and post a page on Twitter and my Instagram. Definitely Instagram. Instagram's a great platform, by the way. Great medium. Great social media platform. Yeah. That's the thing. If you are good at something, never do it for free. Take advantage of it. Roll with it, right? Let's see here. Clone Wars returning. I never really followed Clone Wars, unfortunately, when it was first on TV. The funny thing about Rocky and Bullwinkle is I was actually planning on reviewing that a couple months ago, and I actually had the review written. I think I was going to do it also around the time the Rocky and Bullwinkle show first premiered on Amazon. So, let's see what else. Ghostbusters 2 or Ghostbusters 2016? Good question. I really haven't seen Ghostbusters 2016 as much as I had Ghostbusters 2. That's probably why I have a better opinion of Ghostbusters 2. And I also saw it when I was a really, really young kid, so probably didn't think of it as being that bad. Yeah, Thibber, I don't really know. I know how it works, but I don't know how to really go about doing that. And like I said, I work a full-time job that's not film related, so it's hard to maintain like a creative outlet is the way I do. But you know, it's always good to have a creative outlet. It's always good to have some self-care. For me, the YouTube stuff is self-care for myself. It is my personal therapy. So don't want to take advantage of that. Good joke, Baby's kid. That should be a meme. Probably is a meme. So I don't know. So I see a couple more questions. I'll answer those. Cartoon Network crossover Nexus. So that's the OK Go crossover, right? I like the idea of it. I really think that OKKO captures what it's like to be a fan. Like that show was just straight up made by a fan of Cartoon Network. At least Cartoon Network when it was first around. It's like any obscure cartoon reference, there's a good chance OKKO will probably reference it. I mean, for God's sakes, they reference Tiny Toons through one of their dances. Yeah, Ice Cream Hero. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm kind of on the same page as you. Is that it's not really Rocky. It's too spontaneous and too over the top to be like Rocky and Bullwinkle. To me, it's kind of like the Teen Titans Go to Rocky and Bullwinkle. Just way too much zaniness. I mean, which it's already a zany show, so you can't really say that Rocky and Bullwinkle would be too zany. I don't know. Do you think early childhood oriented characters should be in crossovers more often? It's a good question. Child oriented characters should be in crossovers. So, what do you mean by childhood oriented? Do you mean children's shows or nostalgic characters? Because it could be one of both of those, right? That's interesting. Yeah, Mighty Majesty was a fun show. Maybe one of the collaborators for good friend of Tony Goldmark, Luke Scott. Preschool characters popping in a Roger Rabbit-esque crossover. I feel like we kind of got that with Cartoon All-Stars, though, right? Right, I guess. Unless you think of like Little Einstein characters or like Dora the Explorer. I don't watch preschool shows, so you can tell. I don't really know. You know, I will say this. I always thought it would be funny if OKKO had an episode where the crossover wasn't. They'd have a Captain Planet episode, but instead of Captain Planet, it would be the Beetlejuice animated series. Lydia and Beetlejuice showing up in OKKO. I think that would be a fun crossover. Teddy, I don't know what the point of that question is. What hand do I write and draw with? Why does that matter? So I'm not going to answer. Would anybody here like to see an animated horror anthology show? Sure. Like Tales from the Crypt? That'd be kind of cool. Favorite puppet TV shows that are not made by the Jim Henson Company? I don't really know, actually. I feel like... Was My Cousin Skeeter Jim Henson related? I feel like puppetry was one of those mediums that I always appreciated more. I don't think I watched as much puppetry growing up as I did animation. But then again, I always considered them to be like good relatives to one another. Yeah, I don't understand why you would think I'm being mad at you, Teddy. But that's your business and your business alone. I don't understand the context of the question and what it really relates to things. That's my reasoning. Not that I'm mad at you, I just don't understand. And if you're left-handed, that's great. I think that's awesome. I just don't I don't understand what it matters. To me personally, I don't get it. Anyways, warning, if you love puppetry and the Muppets, don't watch Happy Time Murder. I heard that was an interesting movie. I heard it's got some good reviews. I heard people who generally enjoyed the work of because this was made by one of the guys who did a lot of the earlier Muppets films. Like Ryan, you probably know more about this than I do. But I know this film has been out production-wise for a really long time. I'd say even like back when the writer's strike happened. This film has been in production since then. And I've just always been looking forward to seeing that film happen. I was kind of disappointed when the first trailer came out. I mean, there were a couple jokes in there. I just didn't really sell me on it. And I was gonna see it today, but something about it just didn't really stick out. I feel like got some other things I gotta do, right? But you know. So Jim Henson, Brian Henson, that makes sense. If you want some, Between the Lions was a good show. I actually, little known fact about Between the Lions. My cousin is he's a SAG member. He was best friends with the female lion mom from Between the Lions. So I think that's always a cool little fact I like sharing. Forgot the character's name though. You know what's funny? I talked about Disney's Bolt way back in 2011. Wow. I talked about it as being like one of those films because around that time, you gotta understand, Disney was making a comeback, but it wasn't like the animation was on par with Frozen or Tangled did come out around that time, but it was getting there. So like, Bolt was really one of those films to really kick it off. You know, there was Meet the Robinsons obviously, but I think that was the film to really kick off what we now know as like the current modern Disney Renaissance. That's a good question. Reader Rabbit. That's always a fun game. Mickey Mouse had a couple of computer games, those wonderful floppy disk games. Toon Disney came out more when I was in elementary school, not necessarily when I was like younger. Let's see. Yep. Wubbulous World of Dr. Seuss. Watched that show too growing up. That was kind of fun. So, I don't know if I got to answer everybody's questions. I apologize if I missed, but my throat is kind of getting hoarse, and I think I might need to wrap things up. But as far as like the next time I do a stream, keep in mind I may want to see if we could do like a commentary track or something. But I'm gonna look into how to do that. If anybody's got suggestions, let me know. That'd be interesting. So I'm gonna hold on. I think this would be a good time to wrap things up. So this is fun as always. Glad you stuck around. You can tell I'm out of it. My throat is just killing me. It's fun making these videos. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Take care, everybody. Wow, 85 minutes.